Hello class, my name is Dan Mercadante, and today I'll be presenting a Sweden company called ICA Gruppen, which means ICA Group in America. Just a little bit about the history that I'll go over, and then after that I'll get into the case study itself and the problem that they had, and then the solution that they came up with ICA marketing. And then after that I'll give a couple minutes on my own personal input, and hopefully you'll have input yourself. ICA, a little bit about the background, is that it's a Swedish company, started in 1917, and that focuses on improving grocery retail. Within this 100-year span, because today's 2017, they have established and created many departments, including their own stores, their own restaurants, real estate, and even banks, all which cooperate with each other, and each department is within another. So the retailer stores and so forth have the banks in them. So it's a big company, and they have many departments which attract many customers. ICA Gruppen was the name formed in 2013. So it was called some Swedish names before that, but we only need to know the American name right now. ICA owns and manages properties, including their own stores and retailer stores. And they also have recently launched financial services and pharmacy agencies, which is really neat because they're expanding significantly from just a little company all the way into this big, huge multi-department company. Within the case study, we see a major problem in 2005 for the company. One is that in the marketing arena, there was a major decrease in sales for grocery market. This has to do with two reasons. One is that advertisements were just not enough to stimulate and encourage customers or encourage people to get out and go grocery shopping. They were making big cuts. Along with this was the huge increase of competition that ICA was facing. They only dominated like 23% of the market, which is a lot, but it's not enough to make a profit. So they were making sales but not making a profit. So we need to do something about that. And it all starts with the marketing itself and how to get good brand awareness, get good sales, get good customers that stay loyal, and a good retention rate. First is that they had 3 tests in this case study, all revolving around digital signage, which in 2005 was not well known. Right now, we see it all over the place. We see it in McDonald's, we see it in retailer stores, we see it in grocery stores sometimes now, and it's just simply digital screens that are up all throughout the store that show photos, videos, advertisements, and other informational content on the screens. In 2005, you had your original billboard poster type advertisements, and it just wasn't enough. And with the increasing technology, I think they needed to use this, and it was a really good idea to start this campaign and push for this. Over a 1.5-year process, but they finally did it, and it's really good. So going into detail, the problem with the case study, of course, was that they needed to boost sales and boost customer retention rate, and by doing so, this would be a tough situation because they're facing so much problem within the market itself. The goals of the campaign was to practice these digital signage to see if they would work before implementing them within all their stores, because right now they have over 2,000 stores. So they wanted to practice on a few for like about a year, and then if it worked, they would implement it within all the stores. They used 3 testings, and this is key factor because their media marketing manager, his name's Haxusa, some weird Swedish name, and he says that before they make any decisions, they first have a marketing goal and marketing strategy, creative strategy to us, and they have to test over a year period before implementing anything. So I think that's really neat that they don't just go out there and do it and make this huge risk, but they strategize for it, they find out what the market thinks about it, and they can then save a lot of money in the long run if it doesn't work and find other solutions. So test number 1 was first putting up these screens and examining the main effects of digital screening. So they wanted to see the customer's attention, emotions, attitudes, and behavior in their large stores regarding the screens, which over the period of time over a period of like about 4 or 5 months, the results showed and that customers tended to shop a lot closer to screens than places where screens weren't. And I think that's pretty obvious, especially in today. And you can only imagine in 2005 when people first see screens in a store and they're like, "Whoa, TV in the stores! Wow!" You know, it's kind of like eye-catching, and it pops, especially with the LED lights now. Your eyes naturally are attracted towards the screens, which then will cause you to go over there. And that's what they were finding out within this case study. So test number 1 just showed that they at least attract people towards the screens. But we don't know what their feelings are about it yet. Through the test number 1, all we found out was that they stayed longer and sales went up a little bit because they were staying longer and they were able to see more information about products and then therefore buy a little bit more. But their response with the customers was negative because many customers didn't like the new screening, I guess because they didn't like change or because they were actually staying longer and they were realizing this like, okay, I only came here to spend 20 minutes and then get on with my day, and these screenings are making me stay longer and I'm getting that sidetracked and stuff like that. So they do have a negative effect. That's why we needed a second test. The second test was saying 2 things. 1, we wanted to know the attitude shift. If we were to turn screens off, would these people then like to stay, or would sales increase still, or like how would that affect things? So the second test was the company ICA had like 25 stores without screens or screens just turned off, 25 stores with screen turned on, and we wanted to see the effects then, which resulted in that sales went up with promotional messages and then down with the ambiance. So now and that's with messages on. So that's with the screens on, sales are still going up, but the ambiance doesn't look that good because it's kind of bland. It's just a bunch of blank screens, nothing but product on the line, like on the aisles. So it's not that interesting for people, which surprisingly that sales went up with that. Oh, they went up with the screens on, that's right. And the summary or the problem there is that the group worried about, so this works. We found out this works for large companies because sales is going up when screens are on and ambiance is going up. When screens are off, sales are retaining the same or maintaining the same, and then the ambiance is not that great. So people aren't going to want to come back to your store. The third problem is that we want to know, or ICA wanted to know, what this would be like in small stores. So here's like the huge Walmart stores. Now we're going to go towards small local grocery markets and see what effect it would have there. And that's what test 3 is. The findings there revealed that customers notice the screens and shoppers even seem to notice the signs more. So we have like a big notice. We could have expected that, but they didn't. They just didn't know at all. But the only problem is that consumers were positive in their reaction to the screens in local and small stores, but sales didn't increase. So that's another problem we have, and they didn't do a 4th test to see how they could increase the sales for small things, but the overall summary is that customers dislike screens in large stores, but it increased spending. Therefore, you increase your sales and increase your profit. In small stores, they found the opposite effect. Customers appreciated the digital screening, but purchases dropped. So that's and it's kind of left there in the case study up to us. So it's that's the question I pose for myself and pose for you, is how can we fix this? I think one thing is that ICA had done a very great job in enhancing their stores, especially their ambiance, their advertisement, through these videos. For one thing, they use 3 types of content. They use active content, passive content, and interactive content. So I think that's very important to make sure you have a mix of content in the way you're channeling your message, because customers are going to react differently to ways you give it to them. So if you want to first give them photos or just information, that might be an overload. It might be not. Customers are all different, and it's important to relay to them your message through many different channels and content ways. One thing I would have done differently is that ICA was having a substantial amount of competition that hindered the grocery market. What sets ICA apart is that they consist of many individual retailers in cooperation. So by positioning themselves to increase their awareness and ultimately their customer baseline, it could have been easy, because IMC can help address their customers in order to better appeal to them. So what something I would have done differently was I would have promoted TV commercials that these people see at their own homes and put it inside and on the screens, because it would then help connect the customers with our own personal stores, with ICA stores. That would be the only thing. I mean, they have 3 tests, and you have to know what's best. And the only thing I would have done differently is try to attract more customers through their house and our store, and get it a similar feel like that. Thanks for watching, and I hope and look forward to seeing your responses.